All right, so we're going to be looking at our three forms of graphing. So our first one's slope-intercept form, something we all should know how to do. So all you do is you start by, we even looked at this in the 2-3 notes, but you just start with your y-intercept. So you would put a point at +3 on the y-axis, and then you just use your slope. So remember your slope, so that's your b, that's your m. So your slope is 1/2, so that's positive. So you go up 1, right 2, go up 1, right 2. You could go the opposite direction, go down 1, left 2. And that's probably good enough. Maybe I'll do one more. Down 1, left 2. But you really only need 2 points, but the more points you put, obviously, the more accurate usually your line will be when you connect them, unless you're using a ruler. But the more points you have, usually the better off you are. But that is graphing in slope-intercept form. No issues there. Oops. I'll try and keep this up in case anyone is writing. Like I said, I know these notes might be kind of hard to copy down. So if you can't, I mean, you could even just look at the notes that I have filled out or figure out what's best. For point slope form, remember point slope form, it's in the name. It gives you a point and it gives you your slope. So the first thing you can pull out. Is there a question, DeJounte?
No.
Oh, okay. Just meet you. So the first thing you can do is pull out your slope. So your slope is 3. It's from, because it's from that y. If you don't remember, it's the y minus y1 equals your m times your x minus x1. Just be careful when you pull out your point. So the x comes from here, but if you remember from the formula, it's minus x1. So you really got to, it's going to be the opposite. So you really have a point at -2. And then you pull the y from there, it would be the opposite, so +4. But the reason it's opposite, it's based on the formula. Since it's minus x1, x1 would be the reverse of it. Since it's minus y1 in the formula, it would be the reverse of it. So when you pull a point out, basically you just flip the signs, if that makes sense. And then to graph it, all you're going to do is plot your point first, so -2 up 4. And then you're just going to use your slope. So your slope is really 3/1, which doesn't fit going towards the right, but we can go the opposite direction. So you could go down 3, left 1. Or if you want, I mean, it'd be slightly off the graph. Or if you're doing your own, it wouldn't be that bad. And that's probably good enough, I mean, unless you want to do more points. But you really just need the 2. But feel free to add as many points as you like. But that's the idea when you graph point slope form. Get your slope out of the formula and then pull out your point. Just be careful when you're pulling out the point. Since your formula is reversed, like since it's minus y1 and it's minus x1, you're going to flip those signs when you pull them out. So for example, if this was a -2, it would have turned into a +2, but since it's positive, it turns to a negative. Since this is a -4, it turns into a positive. So flip those signs. Other than that, you should be fine. The weird one out of the group, the graph, honestly is standard form. It's not very friendly, but you can find your intercepts pretty easily. So you can find your x and your y-intercept. And remember, a line, you just need 2 points. So if you have those 2 points. So to find your x-intercept, or sorry, your y-intercept, that's what they're having you do first. It doesn't really matter, I guess, which order, but I'll follow the order here. You just set x equal to 0 and solve for y. So we would just plug in 0. Or in other words, I mean, basically this is just going to go away. So y equals 6. And I might have to write the x-intercept here on the side. But basically what that tells you is on your y-axis, it's going to cross at up at 6. So that's like the very top of your graph. If you did print them out, if you're making your own, it would just be up 6. I'll do the x-intercept in a different color. So to find the x-intercept, it's very similar, except you make y equal 0. Basically, you just kind of get rid of the y part of the equation. So you would see that your x is 4. So all that means is if you go on your x-axis, you would just go over to the right 4, and then you can just connect those two dots. But with standard form, I mean, unless you convert it to a different form, you're not going to know your slope. I mean, unless I guess you could find the slope between those 2 points and you could get more points that way. But it's kind of not, it's not as nice graphing from standard form. But I just wanted, so that's honestly it for today. I just wanted to kind of just show you how you could graph these forms without converting. Obviously, I know if you convert them to slope intercept form, you guys wouldn't have trouble pointing, but you've probably never really dealt a ton with point slope formula, if at all. And standard form is probably not something you've really seen with graphing without just solving for y to start with. So these are other ways you could graph if you want to keep it in the form. Obviously, if it's easier for you just to convert it to a form you're more comfortable with graphing, that's completely fine. But these are methods you can use to graph these different forms.